Hello again, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Nuncio Fox Bad Frequency. I'm your host, Stephen, and a lot to cover up this time since when I did the last video, and we ended up with, getting the praetor releases, which are pretty cool. So, as you haven't seen, there's some word bearer praetors up now, in the normal armor and then bigger armor. So, we're kind of getting the idea now that there's going to be a lot more in terms of these coming out for Legion specific. So, we'll probably soon have some for Smurfs or Iron Hands, Iron Warriors, um, Death Guard, World Eaters, maybe Emperor Children, depending how far they go with it, but we're getting the idea. Though, I'll have to say, the Iron Hands and Iron Warriors will be an interesting one because I wouldn't know whether they'll go with the whole with their upgrade choice because they have the upgrade options to become Iron Fathers or Warsmiths, which they both, at least in design, will look almost the same because it's two guys with servo arms. Now, whether Warsmiths have the Battlesmith rule, I do not know. I know maybe I know Iron Hands will, but it's also the fact that in terms of if they're going with it, what will be the design concept? Will one have a peg leg and the other don't, or will they just ignore it and just go with plain Primarch Praetor kits without the said upgrades? So that's an interesting range. Especially since I've been doing some Iron Hands as a commission, which has been pretty fun. Playing with the whole oil streak clock, which is it's always good to experiment with colours. P.S. I'm a commission painter. Follow my page. But so yes, I'll hopefully show more of those soon. Now, the big news today is we had the next section in our Road to Farmers. If you see my eyes flicker up and down, it's because I actually got the page up. So I'm like skimming from rules back and forth so I can get on to read them up while I'm talking to you. So yes, so they have given us a sneak preview of the Lions rules, which is always, I've been a little bit excited. I've been hoping to see what it's like. And I gotta say he's good standard rules. There's a lot. It might be a lot more when they flesh it out in the proper pages, and we get a little bit more information. So we're covering with most of the basics. So now a lot of you already heard. For some reason, the Lion's weapon strength 7, which I'm not even sure to be honest, but we know that's happening. So now so a lot of it is pretty much basics. Your strength 6, your toughness 6, 6 wounds, 5 attacks, 2 plus armor save, leadership 10, with the basics. So he's weapon skill 8, which is it's a lot again on basics. I believe only Sanguinius is the only one who's weapon skill 9. I think the others may have a way to boost a buyer or drop it low, but you get the idea. He's about roughly average on those. He's initiative 7, which I think I think that's an average one because I know some may be like initiative 6, but that's about it. Or he may actually have weapons that actually drop their initiative down to 1 for some reason, which the only one I can ever remember doing that is Perturabo. By that point, nobody ever takes that hammer. So yeah, so for most of the point, his profile's pretty basic. Now it comes to more the equipment, that all his special rules and equipment. That's when we start getting to a little bit interesting. So we go with the one called the Lion's Cola. I'm not sure if the H is silent, so it's the CHOLER one. So that's one where it's kind of. Oh, let's see. I'm reading it's a little fancy. Here's dash. Hmm. Basically, just sounds like basically they make the fluff like going, "I've been holding back," kind of thing. So he's more of the base. His attacks increase when he grows from 4 wounds. So he'll have 6 attacks when he's on 4 wounds, he'll have 7 attacks when he's on 2 wounds. But then that's mind you don't count the charging and whatnot. So it's an alright trait. Though mostly nobody wants to get close to that kind of level of wounds left, because then there's a problem. His next one was this one I believe definitely more presents his bladesman more than anything else. Now I've been waiting for a while now. I've been expecting like the weapon skill 9 and he just does this parry rules and such sorts. It's more like similar to Robo Dawn in the armor faction, so whenever he's fighting the combat, he will never need worse than 4 to hit. Which, in a way, that's pretty good, so especially when you consider there's characters like Magnus who will make you -1 to hit him because of his super ghostly form. He then got, or even this was one I had a big talk with the guys about this, which will come to one of the equipments later. Is the fact that when you have somebody like if you're fighting somebody bigger like Horus, who tends to sit there and go snip, 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 snip on strength and weapon skill, you don't have to worry about it because you're only ever going to have the worst hit on 4. So your weapon skill drop against Horus doesn't mean a lot. Now, whether and then it only ever comes to account when you're fighting somebody, one of the other Primarchs. But otherwise, it's not a big rule to really put into effect. More of a big rule if you know somebody who's going to play the buff game. I mean, actually, always you're fighting with the particular Primarch. So in our case of argument, Horus and Leman Rust will be the 2 guys which that special rule will really come into effect, because of all the other guys, those 2 are the ones that will really cripple your chances to hit a target in the game. But otherwise, it's not really much of a rule I wouldn't put too much thought on. Now, the real big one now is terms of the weapons. So our 2 swords, the Lion Sword and the Wolf Blade. Now, this is where it comes it's a weird one. I think it's a forgeable trait, you know, you make the least coolest weapon the strongest weapon, which seems a weird thing because you would like to think the opposite. Well, so we're starting off the Lion Blade because it's Lion Sword because it's the first thing on the thing. So it's already when what is new, it's not going to be like the Wolf Blade, which we heard was making him strength 10. So it's a base strength. So this is where we're thankful it's strength 7 in this case. Now it's AP1 with the Lance rule, so that's already makes both weapons kind of good against tanks regardless. So there's now going to be a point where, much like Sanguinus, where Sanguinus is he's okay, but then when it comes to a tank, he's got a problem. So Lion doesn't have that problem because both the weapons have a means to take tanks out. Now, the interesting part now is that the Lion Sword has Fleshbane. Again, this is a tough one. This is another one because people were talking about the whole, well, if 1 strength 10 was the point of Fleshbane. There is in a way, because once more, we're going to the likes of, we're going back to the likes of Horus again. We know that the Horus is going to, if you're fighting again, he'll drop your strength down. He's going to make it really difficult to do any damage. So that's always one factor. Then there's always going to be some particular, and I haven't got yet more ideas where this could lead to. But I always going to assume that there's going to be something there that Flashbane's going to need. Mostly against anything that tries to belittle your strength down. So, in case you know, as a better example, the Biomancy, you have the Enfeeble rule. Again, another good weapon to use. As long as, and last train of thought there. But yeah, so we'll see. That's the Lion Sword. Now, most likely, that thing wins the rule. Cool. Now, I like to hope that these are most of these are like work in progress, and they may just go, hey, well, we like the sword better. But we'll see. we've now got the wolf blade. Now that's just the chainsword one. Now again, we notice you strength 10 with the sword. It's AP2, so it's an AP less than the lion sword. The lion sword at least has the better AP damage to it. You know, and there might even be points where I might even just consider the lion sword in some situations purely for the AP benefits. So it's two. And keep in mind, I forgot to mention this, that both two-handed weapons, so you know there's not going to be any benefits for 2 extra attacks. Now the wolf blade has the shred rule, which, let's be honest, shred is always a good weapon, good rule to go with, and an interesting one called fearsome ruin. Now this is an interesting one because I'm not sure. This is something I'm not sure how it will affect word bearers, or guys with this kind of buff. So units that suffer one or more casualties from the blade, and I'd have to take a morale test during the assault phase, have to roll an additional d6 in terms of their leadership and then pick the 2 highest. Now, in most cases, that's pretty good. So if you're fighting demons and you just want to make sure that you fuck demons over more than you already have, but it's an alright rule. I find it funny because whether that means you cancel out the word bearers rule, which, if you don't know, word bearers get the 3 dice and to pick the 2 lowest in terms of leadership. So that's an interesting one. I'm not sure how that I think that cancels each other out, and word bearers have to go on normal leadership. So so it's most likely we're going to see the wolf blade used a lot more than the lion sword, which is a shame because I love the lion sword. It's to me one of the more trademark weapons. But I want to see what happens more. Then obviously we get the Liontime Penelope, which is the your classic 2 up, 4 up with the once a turn rerollable influence saves, which is very similar to Robert Gilliman's armor, because he also had that one kind of once a turn he can change the influence on his armor. So there's a very big similarities between the 2 Primarchs. Now, and then they tease about having this weapon called the Fusil Actinius. Again, names, where did they get these from? And again, we know it's another plasma weapon. Whether it's like anything more like similar to the recent plasma casters or plasma incinerator weapons that they've just been throwing onto the new units, well, we get the idea. Now, in terms of rules, we haven't got much of else, unfortunately, because then it just then teases that it has the usual Primarch rules and can be accompanied by a squad of Deathwing companions, aka by these guys. They look very cool. And basically, yeah. So that's all the rules we get for now. Now I'm trying to been looking into it. Yeah. But everyone, hey, thanks for watching again this video, and I'll hopefully see you all again soon.